The rain battered the windows of my small apartment in Portland, Oregon, like it was trying to break in and drown us all. I stood frozen in the doorway, my heart pounding as 5-year-old Ellie, my cousin's daughter, looked up at me with those big, trusting hazel eyes and said, "Daddy, can you read me a story?" The word hit me like a freight train, stealing my breath. Because I wasn't her daddy, I was just Sam, the guy who'd been babysitting her for one chaotic night that somehow turned my life upside down. It all started 3 weeks ago, when my cousin Jake called me in a panic. He and his wife, Laura, were stuck in Seattle after their car broke down on the way back from a weekend trip. Ellie was with a neighbor, but they needed someone to watch her overnight. "Sam, you're the only one I trust," Jake had said, his voice cracking through the phone. I wasn't exactly the kid whisperer type, 27. Single. A graphic designer who spent most nights sketching or binge-watching sci-fi shows, but I couldn't say no. Family's family, right? So, I grabbed my jacket, hopped in my beat-up Honda, and drove across town to pick up Ellie. The neighbor handed her over with a tired smile, and Ellie clung to her stuffed rabbit, Mr. Whiskers, staring at me like I was an alien. She was small for her age, with wild curls and a smudge of chocolate on her cheek. "Your Uncle Sam, right?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, trying to look confident, but inside I was freaking out. Me, in charge of a kid. I could barely keep my houseplants alive. That night was a blur of spilled juice, a burned attempt at mac and cheese, and Ellie's endless questions about everything from stars to why my couch was so lumpy. But somewhere between her giggles and her falling asleep on my shoulder during a Pixar movie, I felt something shift. It wasn't just babysitting, it was like I'd been handed a piece of my heart I didn't know was missing. By morning, when Jake and Laura picked her up, Ellie hugged me so tight I thought my ribs might crack. "Come back soon, Uncle Sam," she said, and I laughed it off, not knowing how those words would haunt me. Fast forward to now, and I'm standing in my apartment, Ellie calling me Daddy like it's the most natural thing in the world. Jake's standing behind her, his face pale, his eyes avoiding mine. Laura's in the kitchen, pretending to fuss with her bag, but I can tell she's listening. The air feels thick, like the moment before a storm breaks. "Ellie, honey," I manage, kneeling to her level. "I'm not your daddy. I'm Uncle Sam, remember?" Her face crumples, and she shakes her head. "No, you're my daddy too." "I know it." Jake finally speaks, his voice low. "Sam, we need to talk." My stomach twists. I've always known Jake was hiding something those late-night calls, the way he'd dodge questions about his past. But nothing could have prepared me for what he's about to say. He gestures to the couch, and I sit, Ellie climbing into my lap like it's her throne. Laura joins us, her hands clasped tight, and Jake takes a deep breath. "There's something I never told you," he starts, "about me, and about Ellie. I've known Jake my whole life. We grew up together, shared secrets, fought over stupid things like who got the last slice of pizza. But as he starts talking, I realize I never really knew him at all. He tells me he's bisexual, something he's kept buried since high school, scared of what our conservative family would think. He met Laura in college, fell in love, and thought he could choose to live a certain way. But before Laura, there was someone else, a man named Michael, a relationship Jake kept secret even from me. Michael, who left town abruptly. Michael, who Jake now believes might be Ellie's biological father. The room spins. Ellie's still in my lap, playing with Mr. Whiskers, oblivious to the bomb Jake just dropped. "What are you saying?" I ask, my voice hoarse. Jake looks at Laura, who nods, tears in her eyes. "We did a DNA test last month, she says softly. Jake's not Ellie's biological father. We think it's Michael. And we need your help to find him. I stare at them, my mind racing. Michael. The name rings a bell. A faint memory from years ago, Jake's friend from art school. The one who was always around until he wasn't. I never knew they were more than friends. And now, this little girl who's stolen my heart might be his. I look down at Ellie, her tiny hand wrapped around my finger, and I feel a surge of protectiveness I can't explain. Why me? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. Because you're the only one I trust, Jake says again, but this time it feels heavier, like he's handing me a burden I'm not sure I can carry. And because Ellie loves you. She's been talking about you nonstop since that night. Laura wipes her eyes. We don't know what to do, Sam. We need to find Michael, but we don't want to lose her. And we don't want to hurt her. I don't know what to say. Ellie's looking at me, waiting for that story I promised. And all I can think is how this kid's already changed my life in ways I never saw coming. I'm not her daddy, but damn if I don't want to protect her like I am. Okay, I say finally, my voice steady despite the chaos in my head. I'll help. But we do this carefully. For her. Jake nods, relief washing over his face. But I can see the fear still lingering. Laura reaches for his hand, and I realize this is bigger than just finding Michael. This is about family, truth, and what it means to love someone even when it hurts. As Ellie snuggles closer, I know one thing for sure, whatever happens next, I'm in too deep to walk away. The next morning, I wake up to Ellie's laughter echoing from my tiny kitchen. She's sitting at the table, smearing peanut butter on toast, while Jake tries to keep her from getting it in her hair. Laura's already gone to work, leaving the three of us in this strange, fragile bubble. I rub sleep from my eyes, still reeling from last night's revelation. Michael. Ellie's potential father. The guy Jake loved once. Maybe still does in some quiet corner of his heart. I don't know how to process it, but Ellie's grin as she waves her sticky toast at me pulls me back to the present. Uncle Sam. I made you breakfast. She chirps, holding out the messiest piece of toast I've ever seen. I take it, forcing a smile, because how do you tell a kid you're too knotted up inside to eat? Jake catches my eye, and I see the same weight in his expression. We're both carrying secrets now, but for different reasons. He's scared of losing Ellie. I'm scared of what finding Michael might mean for her. For Jake. For me. After breakfast, I take Ellie to the park to give Jake some space. She runs ahead, chasing pigeons, while I sit on a bench, my phone burning a hole in my pocket. Jake gave me Michael's last known number, an old email, and a vague description of where he might be somewhere in San Francisco, maybe working as a freelance artist. I start with the email, typing a message that feels like defusing a bomb. Hey Michael, it's Sam, Jake's cousin. Need to talk. It's important. I hit send before I can overthink it, my heart hammering like I've just run a marathon. Ellie's laughter pulls me back. She's on the swings, her curls bouncing as she pumps her legs. Higher, Daddy. She calls, and my chest tightens again. That word. It's not just a mistake, she says it with such certainty, like she's decided I belong to her. I want to correct her, but the words stick in my throat. Instead, I push her swing, her giggles filling the air, and for a moment, I let myself pretend this is normal. Just me and this kid. No DNA tests. No hidden pasts. Back home, Jake's pacing the living room, his phone clutched tight. Anything? He asks, his voice raw. I shake my head. Just sent the email. No reply yet. He nods, but his jaw's tight, like he's holding back a scream. I want to ask him about Michael, what he was like. why it ended, how he could keep something this big from Ma, but Ellie's in the next room, singing to Mr. Whiskers, and I don't want to break the fragile peace. That night, after Ellie's asleep on my couch, Jake finally opens up. We're on my tiny balcony, the city lights flickering below, a bottle of cheap whiskey between us. Michael was everything, he says, staring at the horizon. He was funny, kind, saw the world in colors I didn't know existed. But I was scared. Our family, the church, the way they talked about people like use it made me feel like I was wrong for loving him. He takes a swig, his hands shaking. When he left, I thought it was my fault. Then I met Laura, and I thought I could be someone else. Someone normal. I listen, my heart aching for him. I've always known Jake struggled, but I never saw the depth of it. Growing up, our family was tight-knit but rigid Sunday sermons. Traditional values. No room for questions. I came out as gay in college, and it was like dropping a grenade at Thanksgiving. Jake was the only one who stood by me, but now I see he was fighting his own battles, ones he couldn't share. What do we do if we find him? I ask, my voice low. Jake looks at me, his eyes glistening. I don't know. Tell him about Ellie, I guess. See if he wants to be part of her life. But Sam, I can't lose her. She's my world. His voice breaks, and I reach out, gripping his shoulder. You won't, I say, but it feels like a promise I might not be able to keep. The next day, my phone pings with an email reply. It's Michael. Sam, it's been a while. What's this about? I'm in San Francisco. Can we meet? My heart leaps, then sinks. This is real now. I show Jake, and his face goes white. You're going, he says. Not a question. I nod, because what else can I do? Ellie's future's at stake, and somehow, I'm the one holding the pieces together. I book a flight for the weekend, my mind a whirlwind of fear and determination. Ellie's still calling me daddy, and every time she does, it's like a hook sinking deeper into my heart. I don't know what I'll find in San Francisco, but I know one thing. This little girl's already changed me, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect her even if it means facing a past that isn't mine. San Francisco smells like salt and coffee, the kind of city that feels alive even at 7 a.m. I'm standing outside a small cafe in the Mission District, my palms sweaty as I check my phone for the 10th time. Michael's late, but then I see him, a tall guy with dark, wavy hair and a cautious smile, carrying a sketchbook under one arm. He's older than I remember, early 30s now, with faint lines around his eyes. But there's something magnetic about him, like he's still the guy Jake couldn't forget. Sam, he says, his voice warm but guarded. I nod, shaking his hand, and we sit at a corner table, the hum of the cafe wrapping around us. I don't know how to start, so I just blurted out, this is about Jake. And Ellie. His face changes, like I've just punched him in the gut. Ellie. He repeats, and I see the gears turning. He knows something's up, but he's not ready for what I'm about to say. I tell him everything: Jake's confession, the DNA test, Ellie's existence. His hands grip the table, his knuckles white. She's mine, he whispers, and I can't tell if it's shock or hope in his voice. I show him a photo of Ellie on my phone, her gap-toothed smile beaming as she holds Mr. Whiskers. Michael stares at it, his eyes welling up. She looks like my sister when she was little, he says, his voice breaking. Jake never told me. Why didn't he tell me? I don't have an answer. Not really. I tell him about Jake's fear, the pressure of our family, the way he tried to bury who he was. Michael listens, his face a mix of anger and sadness. I loved him, He says quietly. I would have stayed. Fought for us. But he pushed me away. Said it was better for both of us. He runs a hand through his hair, looking lost. And now there's a kid. My kid. I nod, my throat tight. I want to hate him for leaving, for not fighting harder. But I see the pain in his eyes. And I get it. Love's messy, especially when the world tells you it's wrong. What do you want to do? I ask. He doesn't answer right away, just stares at Ellie's photo. Finally, he says, I want to meet her. But I don't know how to do this without hurting her. Or Jake. We talk for hours, piecing together a plan. Michael's life is different now as a struggling artist, living in a cramped studio, no family nearby. But he's steady, thoughtful, and when he talks about Ellie, there's a spark in his eyes I can't ignore. We agree he'll come to Portland in a week, meet Jake and Laura first, then Ellie if it feels right. I warn him it won't be easy. Jake's terrified, Laura's on edge, and Ellie's too young to understand the truth. Back in Portland, I find Jake waiting up, his eyes bloodshot. How'd it go? He asks, like he's bracing for a blow. I tell him Michael wants to meet Ellie, and his face crumples. He can't just waltz in and take her, he says, his voice rising. I grab his arm, forcing him to look at me. He's not trying to take her, Jake. He just wants to know her. She's his daughter, too. The words feel like betrayal, but they're true, and we both know it. The next few days are a blur of tension. Laura's trying to keep things normal for Ellie, but I can see the strain in her forced smiles. Ellie, oblivious, keeps calling me daddy, and every time, it's like a knife twisting in my chest. I'm not her father, but I'm starting to wish I could be. I take her to the zoo, let her ramble about tigers and penguins, and I wonder how we're going to explain this to her. How do you tell a 5-year-old her family's more complicated than she thought? The night before Michael arrives, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about Ellie's smile, Jake's fear, Michael's hope. I'm caught in the middle, trying to hold everyone together, but I feel like I'm falling apart. I look at a photo of Ellie on my phone, her tiny hand in mine, and I make a silent promise. Whatever happens, I'll protect her. Not because I'm her daddy, but because she's mine in a way I can't explain. Michael arrives in Portland on a gray, drizzly afternoon, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his sketchbook tucked under his arm. Jake's waiting at my apartment, his hands fidgeting like he's about to bolt. Laura's there too, her face a mask of calm, but her eyes betray her nerves. Ellie's at a friend's house, a small mercy to give us time to figure this out. The air in my living room feels like it's charged with static, ready to spark. Jake, Michael says, his voice soft but steady. Jake looks up, and for a moment, it's like the years melt away. I see the history between them: love, pain, secrets. Jake stands, his jaw tight, and they just stare at each other. Laura breaks the silence, her voice gentle but firm. We're here for Ellie, she says, and Michael nods, his eyes never leaving Jake's. I know. I need to know her. We sit, and it's awkward, like we're all walking on glass. Michael explains he's not here to disrupt Ellie's life, he just wants a chance to be part of it. Jake's quiet, his hands clasped so tight his knuckles are white. You left, he finally says, his voice low. You didn't fight for us. Michael flinches, but he doesn't look away. You told me to go, Jake. I thought it was what you wanted. The truth hangs heavy, and I feel like an outsider in my own home. Laura reaches for Jake's hand, grounding him, and I realize how strong she is, holding this family together while it threatens to crack. We talk logistics: how to introduce Michael to Ellie, what to tell her, how to keep her world steady. Michael suggests starting small, maybe as a family friend for now, until she's older and can understand. Jake nods, but I can see he's still terrified. When Ellie comes home, she runs straight to me, wrapping her arms around my legs. "Daddy," she says, and Michael's eyes widen. Jake looks like he's been punched, and Laura quickly scoops Ellie up, distracting her with a snack. I pull Michael aside, explaining the daddy thing, how it started that night I babysat. He smiles, but it's sad. "She's lucky to have you," he says, and I don't know why, but it makes my chest ache. The next day, we take Ellie to the park, all four of us, plus Michael. She's shy at first, hiding behind my legs, but Michael's good with her. He draws a quick sketch of Mr. Whiskers, and she's hooked, chattering about rabbits and crayons. Jake watches from a distance, his face unreadable, while Laura keeps a hand on his arm. I feel like I'm holding my breath, waiting for something to break. Over the next week, Michael visits daily. He's careful, never pushing, but Ellie warms to him fast. She shows him her favorite books, drags him to see her secret fort in my backyard. Jake's quieter than usual, and I know he's struggling, seeing Ellie bond with someone who might have a claim to her. One night, after Ellie's asleep, he breaks down. What if she loves him more? He whispers, tears streaming down his face. I don't have an answer. Just pull him into a hug, because sometimes that's all you can do. Laura's the one who keeps us grounded. She talks to Michael, sets boundaries, makes sure Ellie's routine stays steady. But I see the toll it's taking on her, the way she checks her phone constantly, like she's waiting for bad news. I start spending more time with Ellie, taking her to school, reading her stories, anything to keep her smiling. Every daddy from her lips feels like a gift and a wound, because I know I'm not, but I want to be. By the end of the week, Michael's a fixture in Ellie's life, and I'm starting to see the man Jake fell for. He's kind, patient, with a quiet strength that makes Ellie feel safe. But there's a tension growing, a question no one's asking. What happens next? Does Michael stay? Does he want custody? And where do I fit in all this? I'm just the cousin, the babysitter, but Ellie's got me wrapped around her finger, and I'm not sure I can let go. The tension in my apartment could choke you. It's been 2 weeks since Michael arrived, and Ellie's starting to ask questions. Why's Michael here so much? She says one morning, her mouth full of cereal. Jake freezes, his coffee mug halfway to his lips. Laura answers smoothly. He's a friend. Sweetie. He likes spending time with you. Ellie nods, satisfied, but I can see the strain in Jake's eyes. He's not okay with this. Not really. Michael's trying. I'll give him that. He's gentle with Ellie, never overstepping, but I catch him watching her with this look like he's memorizing every moment, knowing it might not last. I'm stuck in the middle, playing referee, uncle, and something else I can't name. Ellie's daddy calls are less frequent now, like she's sensing the shift, but when she says it, it still hits me like a tidal wave. One evening, we're all at the park again, and Ellie's on the slide, laughing as Michael catches her at the bottom. Jake's sitting on a bench, his shoulders hunched. I sit next to him, not saying anything, just letting the silence sit. Finally, he speaks, his voice barely audible. I'm losing her. Sam. I shake my head. Fierce. You're not. She loves you. Always will. But he looks at Michael, then at me, and I see the doubt. What if she doesn't need me anymore? Before I can answer, Ellie runs over, tugging at my hand. Daddy, come play, she says, and Jake flinches. I hesitate, then take her hand, glancing at Jake. We'll talk later, I say, but I know it's not enough. Michael joins us. And for a moment, it's almost normal, 3 guys and a kid. Like some makeshift family. But it's not. And we all know it. That night, Laura calls a meeting. No Ellie this time with a sitter. We're in my kitchen, the air heavy with unspoken fears. Laura's the first to speak. Her voice steady but tired. We need to decide what's best for Ellie. Michael, you're her father, but Jake and I have raised her. We're her parents. Michael nods, his face tight. I don't want to take her from you. I just want to be in her life. Whatever that looks like. Jake's quiet. Too quiet. I can see the storm brewing in him. The fear of losing everything. What if you change your mind? He says, his voice sharp. What if you want her full time? Michael leans forward, his eyes earnest. I won't. I swear. But I can't walk away knowing she's mine and not know her. The room falls silent, and I feel like I'm drowning in their pain. Laura suggests a lawyer, someone to mediate, make things official. Jake agrees, but his heart's not in it. Michael looks at me, like he's searching for an ally, but I don't know whose side I'm on. I just want Ellie to be okay. Later, when it's just me and Michael, he opens up. I didn't know about her. Sam. If I had, I would have fought harder. For Jake. For her. I believe him, but it doesn't make this easier. The next day, I take Ellie to the library, her favorite place. She's curled up in my lap, reading about dragons, when she looks up at me. Is Michael my daddy too? She asks, and my heart stops. I don't know what to say, so I just hold her close, murmuring, he's someone who loves you a lot. She nods, like that's enough, but I know it's not. This is going to break her heart, or someone else's, and I'm terrified it'll be mine. By the end of the week, we meet with a lawyer. She's kind but firm, laying out options: shared custody, visitation, adoption agreements. Jake's shaking, Laura's taking notes, and Michael's just listening, his face unreadable. I'm there for Ellie, but I feel like a fraud. I'm not her father, not her anything, but she's everything to me. As we leave, Michael pulls me aside. You're good for her, Sam. Better than I'll ever be. His words hit hard, because I want them to be true, but I'm not sure they are. The lawyer's office feels like a pressure cooker, even with the air conditioning humming. We're back for another meeting. Papers spread across the table like a map to a minefield. Ellie's with Laura's mom, giving us space to navigate this mess. Jake's barely spoken all week, his eyes hollow, like he's already losing. Michael's trying to stay calm, but I can see the tension in his jaw. Laura's the anchor, asking questions, keeping us focused, but even she looks worn thin. The lawyer suggests a trial visitation period. Michael gets weekends with Ellie, supervised at first, while Jake and Laura retain primary custody. It's reasonable, but Jake's face says it's a death sentence. She's my daughter, he says, his voice breaking. The lawyer nods, sympathetic but unmoved. Legally, Michael has rights, but we're trying to make this work for everyone. Michael looks at Jake, his eyes pleading. I don't want to take her, Jake. I just want to be her dad too. I'm sitting there, feeling useless, when Laura turns to me. Sam, you've been with Ellie through this. What do you think? It's the first time anyone's asked, and I freeze. I think about Ellie's laughter, her tiny hand in mine, the way she calls me daddy, like it's a promise. I think we need to do what keeps her safe and happy. I say, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. She loves all of you. We can't tear her apart. The room goes quiet, and I feel their eyes on me. Jake's desperate. Michael's grateful. Laura's searching. The lawyer nods, jotting something down. Let's start with the visitation plan. She says, we'll reassess in 3 months. Jake agrees, but it's like he's signing away his soul. Michael reaches out, like he wants to touch Jake's arm, but stops himself. I want to scream at them to talk, really talk, but I know it's not my place. The first weekend of visitation is brutal. Ellie's excited to see Michael, but Jake's a wreck, pacing my apartment while Laura tries to calm him. I take Ellie to Michael's hotel, where he set up a little art corner for her. She dives in, painting with him, and I see the bond growing. It's beautiful, but it hurts, because every smile she gives him feels like one less for Jake. When I pick her up, she's clutching a painting of a rainbow, her eyes bright. Daddy, look what I made, she says, and I don't know if she means me or Michael. Back home, Jake's waiting, his eyes red. Ellie runs to him, showing off her painting, and he holds her like she might disappear. Laura pulls me aside, her voice low. He's not okay, Sam. He needs you. I nod, but I'm not sure what I can do. I'm not family, not really, but I'm in too deep to walk away. That night, I take Jake out for a drink, just the two of us. We're at a dive bar, the kind with sticky floors and neon signs. He's quiet, nursing his beer, until he finally speaks. I'm scared. Sam. What if she forgets me? I grab his hand. Fierce. She won't. You're her dad. Nothing changes that. He looks at me, tears in his eyes, and for the first time, I see how much he's carrying love, guilt, fear, all tangled up. The next day, Ellie's back to calling me daddy, and it's like a lifeline. I take her to the aquarium, let her press her nose against the glass as fish swim by. She talks about Michael, how he's funny, how he draws like her. I listen, my heart twisting, because I want her to love him, but I want her to love me too. I'm starting to realize I'm not just protecting her, I am falling for her. For this messy, complicated family we're building. By the end of the month, the visitation routine settles in, but the tension doesn't. Jake's quieter, Michael's trying too hard, and Laura's holding it all together. I'm the one Ellie runs to, the one she trusts, and it's a weight I'm not sure I can carry. But I will, because she's worth it, and so are they. 3 months into the visitation plan, and it's like we're all holding our breath. Ellie's thriving, bouncing between Jake, Laura, and Michael like it's the most natural thing in the world. She's got a new sketchbook from Michael, filled with her drawings, and she shows them off to me every chance she gets. But beneath the surface, things are fraying. Jake's pulling away, spending more time at work, avoiding Michael's calls. Laura's trying to keep the peace, but I can see the cracks in her calm. One afternoon, Ellie and I are at the park when she drops a bomb. Daddy, are you going to live with Michael? She asks, her eyes wide. I choke on my coffee, caught off guard. No, sweetie, why do you think that? She shrugs, kicking at the dirt. You're always with him. And he's my daddy too, right? My heart sinks. She's piecing things together, and we're not ready for it. I call Laura that night, tell her what Ellie said. She's quiet for a long time, then says, we need to tell her the truth. She's smart, she'll figure it out anyway. Jake's against it, says she's too young, but Laura's firm. She deserves to know who her family is. I agree, but the thought of explaining this to Ellie terrifies me. How do you tell a kid her dad's not her dad? But he is, and there's another dad too. We decide to do it together, all 4 of us. It's a Sunday, and we're at my apartment. Ellie curled up on the couch with Mr. Whiskers. Laura starts, her voice soft but steady. Ellie, you know how much we all love you, right? Ellie nods, her eyes flicking between us. Michael takes a deep breath, his hands shaking. I'm your dad, Ellie. Your real dad. But Jake and Laura are your parents too, and they always will be. Ellie's quiet, her brow furrowed. Then she looks at me. What about Daddy Sam? My throat closes up, and I can't speak. Jake steps in, his voice rough. Sam's your uncle, but he loves you like a dad. We're all your family. Ellie nods, but I can see the confusion in her eyes. She crawls into my lap, burying her face in my chest, and I hold her tight, wishing I could shield her from this. The days after are rough. Ellie's quieter, asking questions we don't know how to answer. Jake's a mess, barely talking to Michael, and Laura's trying to hold us all together. I start spending more time with Michael, partly to keep things civil, partly because I'm drawn to him. He's open in a way Jake isn't, talking about his art, his regrets, his hopes for Ellie. One night, over coffee, he admits he's falling for Portland, for this life we're building. And for you, he says, half joking, but his eyes say he means it. I laugh it off, but it sticks with me. I'm not looking for love if he got enough on my plate, but there's something about Michael that pulls me in. Maybe it's the way he loves Ellie, or the way he's trying to make this right. I don't know what it means, but it's one more complication in a life that's already a tangle. By the end of the month, Ellie's starting to settle, calling Michael Papa and Jake Daddy, like she's carving out space for both. But Jake's still struggling, and I'm caught in the middle, trying to be the uncle, the friend, the glue. One night, Ellie falls asleep in my arms, and I look at her, so small and perfect, and I know I'd do anything for her. Even if it means letting go of the daddy she gave me, because her happiness is worth more than my heart. It's been 6 months since that night I babysat Ellie, and my life's unrecognizable. We're at the park again, the same one where Ellie first called me daddy. She's running ahead, her curls bouncing, shouting for Michael to watch her on the monkey bars. Jake's beside me, a little less haunted now, his arm around Laura. Michael's laughing, cheering Ellie on, and I'm standing there, watching this family I didn't mean to build. We've settled into a rhythm. Michael has weekends. Jake and Laura have primary custody, and I'm the constant Uncle Sam, the one Ellie runs to when she's scared or happy or just needs a story. The daddy calls have faded, replaced by Uncle Sam most days. But every now and then, she slips, and it's like a warm ache in my chest. I've learned to live with it, to love her without needing a title. Jake's healing, slowly. He and Michael talk now, not just about Ellie, but about the past. It's not easy, there's too much hurt to rebut, they're trying. For her. Laura's the rock, always has been, but she leans on me more now, calls me her brother. Michael's become a friend, maybe something more, though we're both too scared to name it. There's a spark there, a possibility, but Ellie's the priority, and we both know it. Today, Ellie's 6th birthday, and we're throwing a party at my place. The living room's a mess of balloons and streamers, and Ellie's in a princess dress, beaming as she blows out her candles. Jake's holding Laura's hand, Michael's snapping photos, and I'm cutting the cake, trying not to cry because this feels like home. Ellie makes a wish, her eyes squeezed shut, and when she opens them, she looks at all of us, Jake, Laura, Michael. Mean says, I wish for my whole family to stay together. The room goes quiet, and I see the tears in Jake's eyes, the hope in Michael's, the love in Laura's. I kneel beside Ellie, brushing a curl from her face. We're not going anywhere, kiddo, I say, and I mean it. We've fought too hard, loved too much, to let this fall apart. The lawyer's papers are signed, the custody agreement's in place, but it's more than that. It's the way we show up, every day, for her. Later, When the party's over and Ellie's asleep, we sit on my balcony, the four of us, passing around a bottle of wine. Jake raises a glass, his voice steady for the first time in months. To family, he says, and we clink glasses, the city lights sparkling below. Michael catches my eye, and there's a question there, one I'm not ready to answer but can't ignore. Laura smiles, like she knows, and Jake just nods, like he's finally at peace. I think about that night, 6 months ago, when I was just the babysitter. I didn't know then that Ellie would rewrite my life, that she'd pull us all together flawed, messy, human into something beautiful. I'm not her daddy, not really, but I'm hers, and she's mine. And as I look at Jake, Laura, Michael, and the little girl sleeping inside, I know this is what love looks like, not perfect, but worth every fight,